Welcome to the Mighty Emotions podcast. I'm your host, Giselle. I'm a certified emotions coach, and I teach you how to respond better to your emotions so you can feel better in your life. My mission is to show you how to work with your emotions to become more emotionally resilient. Your emotions are not designed to overpower you, they're designed to empower you. On this podcast, I share what our emotions are, how to understand them and work with them, and the tools you need to reclaim your power and get unstuck from emotional pain so you can find fulfillment in your life again. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get into the episode. Hello, Mighty Emotions community. Welcome to another episode of the Mighty Emotions podcast. I am so excited because I am recording this as I am finishing up my book. Guys, it has been years of me putting this book together, and it feels so bittersweet to be writing, well, not even writing, but editing the last chapter so that I can send the final manuscript to my editor. And I'm really, really, really excited. I can't put it into words. I can't say enough how much I want you guys to have this book. As I have been writing it and editing it and going back and forth with my editor, it just gets better and better. And I think about how much I needed this book 10 years ago, 8 years ago, because it's everything that I have learned from seeking answers in all the places. Okay, I'm a self-help junkie. Or was a self-help junkie at one point in my healing journey. And I consumed everything from everyone. And I just kept feeling like it wasn't resonating. And even as I was writing this book, I was so intentional that I wanted to say things as I mean them. I didn't want to just regurgitate things that you've probably heard elsewhere, because those things aren't what actually helped me get clarity and inner peace and healing on my journey. It was taking those things and seeing, okay, why doesn't this fully resonate with me? What's kind of off about this or missing from this? And explaining it and understanding it in a new way that really made me go, oh yeah. Like, I think what it is, I'm rambling. What I'm trying to say is that it's about simplifying things. Like, I just found on my self-help journey that there was so much information, but it was so abstract and so convoluted and all these different, because life is nuanced, right? Life is nuanced. But for my subconscious to really get it, for it to really stick, it needed to be simple. It needed to be a duh kind of, effect. And so writing this book, I just really wanted each section to be super relatable, super, easy to understand and digest, super difficult to argue with. that is important, right? Like, when your brain can't argue with it anymore, you're like, okay. So I really put so much love into this book, and yeah, it comes out August 2023, Outrunning Your Emotions. It's going to teach you how to face your feelings, find your power, and love yourself. And this last part of the book about loving yourself, learning to love yourself, really comes and ties everything together super nicely. It flowed the way it was meant to flow, and I'm going to be posting an episode next week that is a recording of Instagram Live I did talking about the 3 essential elements to healing that isn't talked about enough. And so that's going to be next episode. But today I really wanted to dive into one of those areas because it was a real project for me to dissect this and simplify this. Because I'm sure you've heard me say, be gentle with yourself. I say it at the end of our episodes. I say it on my socials. And you probably heard a lot of people say, be kinder to yourself, be a friend to yourself, have some compassion for yourself. But as I'm writing this final chapter where I'm talking about, self-compassion essentially, and why life is hard sometimes, and why we need to give ourselves compassion through that, I realized this is a lot more layered. And I didn't realize it until I had to kind of put it down in this book and explain it in a really simplistic way, right? Like you may have heard someone say, and I don't know who the original quote author is, but I've heard the quote many times, like, if you can't explain it to a baby, if you can't explain something in really basic terms, then you don't really understand it. And I really believe that. I really resonate with that. Like, if you can't really grasp the essence, the core of something, you don't really understand it. You can regurgitate it, right? And when we don't understand things, they kind of stay at our conscious level of mind, and they're just kind of there. What they don't really, we aren't able to really embody them. When we understand something, that is when we fully embody it. So my journey of understanding how to be compassionate toward myself, I've had so many people in the course of my life tell me, oh, Giselle, you need to be nicer to yourself. You need to be kinder to yourself. You need to be more compassionate to yourself. No one ever explained to me, what does that mean? How do I do that? How do I do that? And everything that I'm doing going forward with Mighty Emotions is about the how. Everything that I'm doing is going to be telling you exactly, like, step by step, because I had to break it down to the root of it, to the core of it, to fully understand it, so that I could actually apply it in my life and reap the benefits of it, right? So when it comes to self-compassion, what self-compassion is showing ourselves mercy. It's about being merciful toward ourselves. And that means being tolerant, right? Having the ability to punish ourselves, having the ability to be super critical of ourselves, beating ourselves up. We always have that choice. We always have that ability. But having that ability and choosing instead to be open-minded, choosing instead to be willing to understand and be curious about what drove us to behave in a certain way or what drove us to get certain results, that is self-compassion. It's about not just trying to punish ourselves, but trying to reform ourselves through getting to the root of whatever is going on. And when we talk about processing our emotions, dealing with our emotions, we know that the root is always a need that isn't being met, that we're trying to get met in whatever way we can, and it can manifest in really unhealthy ways. And that's when we need to really show ourselves compassion and say, what need was I trying to get met through this behavior? Because when we understand that, it opens up a world of possibilities, because there's always different ways of getting something done, getting a need met, serving ourselves, right? It's not one size fits all. There's not just this one way. And when we don't know that, when we're not taught that, when we're not even aware of what's driving our behavior, we get so tunnel vision and so fixated on this one way or this one person or this one habit. And we lose sight of really what's underneath that. So self-compassion is about being patient, being softer, being kinder, yes. But what that means is that we want to understand ourselves more than we want to punish ourselves. That is what self-compassion is. That's what compassion is, period. Compassion is tolerance, right? When my toddler does something that I don't want her to be doing, instead of just punishing her, it's about being understanding and saying, okay, I have the authority. I am the adult. I could punish you, right? Not saying that to her, just saying that in my head, but knowing that I have the authority, right? I have more power in a sense, but I'm not going to use that for harm. I'm not going to use that to harm her. I'm going to use that to show her grace and mercy and allow it to be an opportunity for us to grow together. That is what compassion is about. It's about me stepping back to say, okay, what did she need? What was she trying to get? What was she trying to achieve by doing this thing? Was it attention from me because I've been busy with other things? That's a valid need. Okay, so let's say, hey, honey, when you want mommy's attention, you come to me and you indicate it in this way instead. And then I'll know what you need, and then I can show up for you in the way I need to show up for you. Now, obviously, she's a toddler, so it's something we're going to practice because she doesn't fully understand. But it's the same in any relationship. If my husband is behaving in a way, it's not about me taking it personally. It's not about me trying to retaliate. It's about me taking responsibility for my emotions, processing them within myself, And then knowing, okay, let me try to understand what he was trying to accomplish here. Why did he behave that way? What need was trying to be served? Like, that is what compassion is about. And when we can do that, we deepen our connections, we deepen our sense of meaning, right? Because we're living in alignment with what we value, and we're creating safety in our connections. Like, all of our other needs are getting met when we practice compassion. Compassion is the space that we create to allow ourselves to grow through things. When we punish ourselves, look, you can punish someone and they can modify their behavior, or someone can punish you and you can modify your behavior. You can tweak things. You can do things to save face. You can make it seem like you've understood, like, okay, you don't want me to behave in that way, I'll behave in this way instead. But without addressing what drove that behavior, you're going to find yourself there again. You're going to be triggered, and that's going to be your default because you didn't understand what was driving that behavior. So we can change things on the surface all we want, but it's not sustainable long term compared to when we reform, right? When we completely understand, oh, okay, this is what was going on within me that drove this external result or behavior or whatever. How can I do this differently next time? Right? I still want to take care of myself. I still want to get my needs met, but I don't want to cause harm. I don't want to do it in this way. We have the power to be merciful toward ourselves. We have the power to be kind and tolerant and open-minded and curious and seek understanding instead of just seeking, immediate gratification by saying, okay, well, I just won't do this thing. That's why we have addictions, right? That's why we have addictions. I, as somebody who, as you know, is a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, all my life, there's been so many different addictions. And I still can get into this addictive way where I'm like scrolling on social media or I'm picking up my phone all the time. And that is a product of saying, okay, what is the need that's trying to get met here? I'm trying to get connection in some way. I'm trying to get, meaning or purpose or something, and I can't really figure out how I'm getting that need met. So let me just grab this thing temporarily, right? And we'll say to ourselves, okay, I don't want to do that thing anymore. I'm going to stop. I'm just going to quit cold turkey and that. But we don't understand what was really motivating that, and that motivator is still there. And so it's easy, it's familiar to default to what we know and to go back to that behavior whenever that motivator is activated within us, right? But if we understand that motivator instead, because we're tolerant and we know, okay, what drove this behavior, then when that is triggered, when that is activated, we go, okay, here's how I'm going to take care of myself instead. That is self-compassion. So I really break it down in the final chapter of the book, because there is no healing. There is no becoming resilient. There is no loving yourself, moving through. None of that can happen long term and be sustained if we don't have self-compassion for ourselves along the way, because our needs are not always going to be met. And we're not always going to behave in ways that we're proud of in hindsight. And we're not always going to know things because we're ignorant until we're not. And sometimes when we know things, like I said, on a surface level, on a conscious level, when we think we know something, but we don't fully understand that thing, we still haven't really addressed what's going on, and it still can result in behavior. Sometimes we beat ourselves up for that. Oh, I know better. Oh, I know I shouldn't do it this way. No. But why? Why shouldn't you do it this way? That's what we need to know. We need to understand the why. We need to understand the root cause and the driving factor. And when we do that, then our default is reset. We have a totally new default when we're activated, right? So how can that happen if we're not willing to be tolerant, if we're not willing to be merciful, if we're not willing to give ourselves a moment of grace? So I hope that this episode gave you something to really think about and consider. I am really excited for you to read the full chapter to really get all the context, but even still, just start to think about it, right? Are you tolerant toward yourself? You always have the choice between beating yourself up or giving yourself grace. And it can be familiar to beat yourself up, but it's not what's going to lead to the long-lasting change. It's not what's going to help you actually address your underlying needs. The thing that's going to help you do that is being compassionate toward yourself. So practice just noticing, just observing. Practice just thinking, okay, what would it look like to be tolerant toward myself in this situation? What would it look like to have the willingness to understand what's going on here? Even if I'm not pleased with how I behaved, even if I'm not pleased with the outcome, how can I just try to learn from it? That is the biggest piece that's going to allow you to sustain a practice of processing your emotions. It's going to allow you to sustain emotional resilience. Without it, we can do all the strategies, we can have all the tools. Like I said, we can know it on a surface level, but without the ability to say, all right, we messed up here, we're not happy with this, let's learn from this and bounce back. That's what truly leads to resilience long term. That's what truly leads to a feeling of inner peace, because again, it all goes back to knowing how to take care of ourselves and get our needs met. That is the priority. That is what's going to make our lives better. That's what's going to give us fulfilling lives. So with that, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And I have a lot of exciting episodes coming out this month, so stay tuned. I should have closed the window when I recorded this, guys. So sorry. But we are wrapping up. I hope that you remember to take care of yourself and be gentle with yourself. And I will speak to you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It would mean so much if you could subscribe, leave a review, share with your friends and family, and let me know what you think by going to my Instagram at mighty_emotions and connecting with me and letting me know what you loved about today's episode. It really means a lot that you support this podcast, and I love coming to you each week with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, let me know what you think, and take care of yourself.